Okay, now that we've moved on, participating locals, Operation Clean House, TOTS. This is going to take a mere 20% of the budget as well. Once again, we're spending more on illegal immigrants still than we're spending on our own kids. What's going to happen here is this is a TOTS PALS natural disaster package. And basically you got $1,468,715,625 going towards it. And you have FEMA TOTS National Guard. This is for nonviolent youth. What's going to happen is, as some of these kids go to the farm and to the base, often on judges' orders, sometimes because it's a family situation, for whatever reason, as you're going to see in the future acts, the National Guard, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, Air Force, they're all going to have programs. And this is a chance for the kids to join the programs after school. And those after school kids, they're nonviolent youth, they've been, in this particular case, possibly assigned by a judge. They're going to be in these programs and now they need some work. What's going to happen is $10 an hour is the flat rate. It's period. And the same is going to go with FEMA, TOTS, and the farm. These are the other kids, and these are at-risk youth versus nonviolent youth. At-risk youth are in really bad situations, most likely at the farm, once again, not all gung-ho, far from gung-ho compared to the National Guard kids. And we're going to match them, so, put them together, we're going to put them all to work, and what's going to happen is $10 an hour is what they're going to make. Now, unlike the loan repayments, in this case, $1 per hour is going to either go to the National Guard or the farm, whichever one they come from, out of that $10 an hour. Because they are in a program, it'll be tax-free. Take out Social Security. You congressmen and senators know how to put that all together. But basically, they should have an effective rate then of $9 an hour actually going into their pockets for every hour they work. If you're to put this on a full-time status, which it's technically not because we're talking about rushing in during natural disasters once again, so it could be a month job, a 2 or 3 month job, and then get out of there. And by no means do any of these kids go overseas to fight in Afghanistan or Iraq. Their job is to stay here for America, to shore up America. So we got 3,530 jobs if it was full-time based on there, and 3,530 there, or a total of 7,060 more jobs just created in this little area that's keeping kids under control, off the streets, yada, yada, yada. Stopping sex abuse. We have a situation in this country, and we can't deny it. We have kids in juvenile justice that are at a federal level and state levels, and we have federal facilities like Job Corps in particular. Look, I was in a couple of Job Corps. I saw sex abuse all the time. I had one guy, he complained to me that he was in an all-male Job Corps at one point, and that at night, he said it was his bunkmate, the guy next to him. But I always got the impression it was him. That the guys from the city would come in there, and one by one, they would hop in bed with him and cornhole him. And I asked him, why didn't you ever do anything? He said, who am I going to report to? The staff? The staff is just as bad. In one Job Corps, it was always who could screw this staff member or that staff member. I remember it very well. I sat on my teacher's desk and said, I brought my pencil. Yeah, it was the times too, man. I was dressed in a black trench and a tie. I brought my pencil. So anyway, there's a lot of sexual abuse going on in these facilities. And especially those who are incarcerated inside same-sex facilities. So what we're going to do is we're sending in some special inspectors, some IGs. We're going to be popping up the IGs. For just this one federal juvenile justice system, $44,061,468.75. The same amount will go in to start inspecting Job Corps facilities. Any facility that is a federal facility that has people living on base, on camp, starting with those that have youth living on the center. So like when these National Guards go out, these farm go out, we want to make sure these kids are protected. And that includes the kids that are, just because they're from illegal aliens, absconder or not, doesn't mean that they should be sexually harassed, abused, totally sexually assaulted. No, we're out to protect these kids. If you don't protect those kids now, you're breeding Manson. You're breeding a bunch of Manson. It's got to be done. And I'm talking hardcore. We're going after them. Any sexual abuse that's caught, the people running those facilities are going to prison as sexual offenders themselves. They were so incompetent, they didn't know about the problem, or they were in on it. Either way, they're gone. Okay, C, the POP IG. Absolutely. The IG is going to have a little 20% there, which will be divided in half, so each one gets $29,374,312.50. The first one being the IG rogue element. The IG is going to be dissecting everybody that receives money from us and is supposed to be watching our backs. This means they'll be going after the Secret Service. They'll be going after the United States Department of Treasury. They'll be going after our own accounting systems and even checking on our board members from now and then to make sure there's no kickbacks, no sellouts, no nothing. Not that I think any of our board members would do that. They were all particularly chosen by Yahweh. So you tell me. Nevertheless, that's what they're there for. The other part of the IG, these are field inspectors, surprise agents, etc. that are going after the flips, the tricks, the trips, the rips, and the rips in particular. And some will fold over into the mama back and forth because we need a lot of IG protection there. But basically, we're going to go looking for the pimp element of things. Anybody thinks they're going to start being a pimp to these girls? And I'm talking federal agents who decided to make a deal with some local guys. There are going to be no commingling. No security person with flips is going to say, hey, honey, I'll treat you better special if you give me 5 minutes in the room with you. No, none of that. What we're going to do is cut it out. We're going to make sure everything is squeaky, clean, and fair. I'm so into fairness. That's what it's about. It's about being fair, being balanced. And the IG will keep even our own U.S., our own Secret Service and our own Treasury in line to a large degree because they report back to the board members, not to Treasury, not to anybody else. And there are other agencies, as you'll see, in line to take over the POP at any time, but we won't get into that until we get into the board members, which is still a few acts down the road. So we've got this for now. Let's move on.